Hey everybody, this is Jim Haig. Welcome to another episode of Truth Seeking Souls, where we talk about internal stuff from your spirit to your body, to your emotions, to your health. And I have a very special guest here today. He's going to talk about things, that not only uplifts us, but kind of refines how we find our purpose in life. And I have here Mr. Jason Teichner. How you doing, Jason?
Hi, Jim. Great. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
And Jason, you are, from what I'm seeing here, you are a holistic health practitioner, a nutritionist, and a hypnotherapist. You're busy.
Yeah, I'd like to be a little more busy, but yes, with the business, but absolutely. I do a lot of things. I help people. I wanted to help people both from the nutritional, physical standpoint, as well as the mental, emotional standpoint with the hypnosis. So I combine the two as much as I can, and I love it because the way that I differ from most other practitioners is I get to the source of what's going on with the person.
And what is usually the typical source?
Yeah, good question. So over 95% of illnesses are caused by some type of toxicity. So part of my job is to figure out, what type of toxicity they're dealing with. But even if I'm not able to, there are certain things people can do that will eliminate just about every type of toxin imaginable. And if it's appropriate, and if I feel like suggesting it to them, and if they can afford it, they can do the comprehensive testing to figure out which toxins are in their system. But it's usually not necessary. I can usually figure it out, and I can suggest certain types of products, techniques, tools, things like that can rid their body of toxins no matter what it is.
But I would imagine that a lot of Americans, and probably, let's just stick with Americans compared to the rest of the world, because it seems like we're a fat nation.
Yeah.
What are we eating, and what are we doing, and how are we living that introduces all these toxins?
Yeah, so I'll start with the foods. Processed foods and GMOs are the big ones. So the food that you eat should always be 100% natural. Mm-hmm. It should not be processed.
Agreed.
And within that, if you're eating nuts, if you're eating grains, if you're eating fruits, if you're eating vegetables, those should all be organic, not just non-GMO, but organic. Non-GMO is the most important part because GMO is genetically modified organisms, right? So whenever food is genetically modified, our body does not recognize it as a food. It recognizes it as a foreign substance. So what does that mean? It means that our body is not able to process it. It's not able to metabolize it. So we can't get rid of the toxicity level that creates in the body. Therefore, eventually usually it will end up showing up as autoimmune disease. It'll show up as inflammation first, and then it'll show up as autoimmune disease. And inflammation can mean any part of the body. Whatever parts of your body are the weakest is where it's going to show up first. So if your neurological system is the weakest, it's going to show up in headaches. It's going to show up as migraines, even if they're atypical migraines, what we call vestibular migraines. So you're going to notice, you may not notice the pain, but you may notice dizziness, lightheadedness, brain fog, fatigue, all those types of things. You may notice it in your digestive system. You may notice all of a sudden you can't tolerate a lot of foods. You gain a lot of food sensitivity issues. So that's how it starts, and that's how you know it's becoming to the beginning of that cellular DNA destruction, which is going to create autoimmune illness, and also in some people, if they're prone to cancer, it can cause that as well.
But every time I go shopping, Stater Brothers, or Winco, or Bonds, everything, I see very little whole foods, very little natural foods. I mean, even the fruits we eat, they look bigger. I mean, I'm looking at a tomato, it's big.
Yes, they inject a lot of the fruits and vegetables with hormones to make it more appealing to people. That's what they do, and so It's got to be, yeah. Most fruits and vegetables you want to get organic. Now, there's certain exceptions to that. If something has a really thick skin, thick shell, things like that, usually you can get away with just non-GMO. You always want non-GMO, but you can get away with the non-organic because the pesticides don't seep into the fruit, the vegetable, the nut, the grain, whatever it is. If it's got a thick, hard shell, but organic whenever possible, but at the very, very least non-GMO. And the thing about organic is you have to know where it's coming from too. That's a whole other conversation. But organic does not it includes free of pesticides, free of herbicides, but it does not unfortunately include free of heavy metals. So if you've got heavy metals in the soil, that has nothing to do with organic or non-organic. That's a whole other issue. So you also want to know where especially your produce is coming from. And so it's becoming more and more difficult to find the right types of foods. I mean, I know you've had a lot of guests on your show that kind of go into why that is, but I will say with certainty, this is being done to us on purpose.
Oh,
And
I fully agree with you
yeah,
because that's my next question.
yeah,
It just seems like there's a lot of effort in
yeah,
finding those things. And you mentioned the word lethargy and you mentioned the word just, some of the symptoms of all this.
yeah.
I mean, how do you convince people to care? How do
Sure.
you do that? And I guess that's where your hypnotherapy comes in.
Yeah, well, that's definitely part of the nutrition and part of the hypnotherapy. So, what I've found and what most practitioners find is that people will not seek help until they feel horrible,
Hmm.
right? So, people that feel good don't usually seek help. People that feel average don't usually seek help because they feel like it's just getting older. It's like, oh, okay, I'm getting older. I don't feel as energetic as I used to, but that's just normal. I don't need help for this, right? So usually people will seek help only when they start to feel really, really horrible. And first thing they'll do, most people, is they'll go to a regular doctor, and the doctor will do blood work. More often than not, the blood work will come back as within range, right? And then the doctor will say, I don't see anything on the blood work that's of concern. You're fine. But then the patient, as they get worse and worse, will go back to the doctor time and time again, and they'll say, I'm not fine. Find what's wrong with me. Do more tests if you can. Do more comprehensive testing. But of course, we know a lot of the problem with that is insurance won't cover most of that. And so, then we get into that problem. So then eventually, by the time the clients come to me, they've gone through doctor after doctor. The doctor has told them they're fine, or they've diagnosed them with something specific, but their answer, of course, is just medication, and the medication will just treat their symptoms, maybe, right? And then it'll have a bunch of side effects. And so by the time I get to see people, they're at their wits' end usually, and they've had something that's moderate to severe that has shown up in their life, whether it's been diagnosed or not. That's based on how they feel with symptoms. They can't work as much as they did anymore. They can't go out as much as they did anymore. They're reacting to every kind of food they're eating, a bad reaction to every kind of food they're eating. And then you mentioned also talking about other types of toxins that aren't food and are environmental. We unfortunately, there's really not much we can do about that, but we can create a system that allows our body to detox on a regular basis gently, so that we don't have those environmental toxins building up in our system anymore. And that's what I help people do as well. Now, with the electromagnetic frequencies a lot of people know about, there are things you can do for that. The best thing that I know works. It's very scientifically based. It's a plug that you get for your home, and you plug it into your outlet. It takes about 3 days, and what it does is it diverts the EMFs away from the human body, basically, and just renders it as harmless in other spots. But there's other things you can do too. when you go out. I help clients with that as well. If they're sensitive, become sensitive to EMFs or, things like that. Other types of environmental toxins, molds. People will all of a sudden become more sensitive to mold. We've all got some level of mold in our house and in our environment, but the people that where it doesn't affect are the healthy people, right? Their body can safely detoxify without
Hmm.
having to do anything. But then when we keep being exposed over and over and over again, especially the genetic disposition to it that some people have, they're going to start storing these toxins and their body's not going to readily rid them. And then you start to get anxious. And what happens then is your nervous system goes crazy. You're in sympathetic mode instead of parasympathetic mode, meaning that your nervous system is now creating anxiety all the time of worrying about this stuff, right? Then the cells will hold on to toxins even more because it's a protection mechanism of just protecting the vital
Interesting.
organs. Yeah, as if
Mhm.
you were running away, trying to run away or hide from a lion or something, right?
Mhm.
So our nervous system doesn't know the difference between real danger and perceived
Right.
danger. So then we have to address the nervous system part of it. We have to re-regulate the nervous system as well. So I help clients do all those things.
So people can be just sitting on a couch, relaxing, watching TV, and but yet inside their nervous system is shooting off these like
Yeah,
a bear's chasing after us or someone
yeah,
broke into the house. And what a
absolutely.
horrible life that is. And it's all because of these toxins that caused by GMOs and environmental unfriendly situations. That is
Yeah.
just fascinating. So, okay, so let me take a case scenario. You got a cancer patient, okay?
Hmm.
Prostate cancer. Let me ask you, what kind of patients do you have? But I would like to know the scenario of, say, a cancer patient coming up to you, giving up all hope. In other words,
Hmm.
doctor saying it's terminal.
Yeah.
What do you say to that, and how do you help that?
So I have a protocol and just a medical disclaimer. I can't treat, I can't diagnose. I'm
Right,
not
of
a
course.
doctor. Um, but I do have a protocol. So it starts with a general protocol based on what type of cancer they have, based on the stage they're in, their lifestyle, a few other factors, and I go through an entire evaluation with people on this to determine exactly what specific protocol they need. Every protocol that I put forth to my clients is very customized, very individualized. So, but it does start with a general protocol, which includes attacking the cancer cells directly. It includes detoxification. It includes raising the oxygen levels in their body. It includes alkalizing. It includes reducing inflammation. It includes making sure that they're absorbing the nutrients that they're getting. So it's a multifaceted approach, and then I basically tweak it. Those are the general areas of what we need to, how do we need to address cancer, but then I tweak it to their specific case, and we kind of go from there. And it's actually more simple than people would imagine it is. It's just getting your body into a state where it was meant to get to, where it can fight off things
So
like
you're
cancer.
healing.
So
We're healing.
yeah, our body's meant to heal itself. You just have to give it the right tools. So I've had and again, no medical claims here, but I've had cancer patients in stage 4. I mean, and through the advice that I've given them, assuming they listen to everything I tell them to do, they have had the ability to be able to heal themselves with the advice that I've given them. So
Fantastic.
I don't, again, claim I don't heal anybody. I give people the tools; they heal themselves.
Hmm.
So that's a distinction that needs to be made too.
Do you feel like all this is being done on purpose? That
Yes.
something is poisoning us on purpose? I mean, I know that the pharmaceutical industry, they're not going to make money unless they have patients.
That's
And I
right.
don't want to get into conspiracy theories, but I'm just wondering, is it because they want to have a longer shelf life on their products, like the food industry? They want to have a longer shelf life, or they want it to taste so good that it causes a chemical reaction like a drug, and that we have
Yes.
more of that. I know chocolate works that way. I know Diet Coke works that way. I know that
Hmm.
a lot of products. So is it evil done on purpose, or is it just kind of like they're not intending to do it, but they're doing it because it's profitable?
Well, yeah, it's all of the above. It's everything that you just said. It is. I would say that more of it than not is done on purpose.
Hmm.
Now, people used to get sick, at any time, right, in history, but we're getting illnesses now that people have never gotten before. And so that tells you that the toxins are increased, and that is, by design being done on purpose. And so now there's certain things that, people have to take responsibility for their own health as well. And so they, for lack of a better way to say it, kind of give themselves illnesses. But at the same time, a lot of people don't know what to do to be healthy. I mean to truly be healthy. We're all told, to eat fruits and vegetables. We're all told to get our proper nutrients, our vitamins, our minerals, our fiber, our protein, and all of that. But good fats and all of that. But it's like, how do you do that? Well, that's what I help people with, and there's certain types of foods that you can trust that are wholesome, whole food, wholesome. And there's a lot, most foods you can't trust that are not whole food and wholesome. So that's what I help people do. I help people read labels as well. But you just have to kind of know what to look for. And I meet clients where they're at as far as their knowledge level. I mean, I can have a client that knows nothing about any of this stuff, and I can educate them on that, or I can have a client that already knows a lot of this stuff, and I just give them a little tweak to, to help them with healing their body with whatever's going on. And so, and when it's ourselves, that's the other thing. When it's ourselves, it's hard to be objective, right? It's hard to say, oh, well, I know I can help other people, but this stuff is happening to me. How do I
Hmm.
help myself? So we lack that objectivity. That's where the nutrition comes in. That's also where the hypnosis comes in to get their mindset right to where they can help themselves.
And
So,
I think that's the key right there. It's a mindset. That's
absolutely.
everything. And speaking of which, okay, you mentioned that it happening to you. You had
Yes.
Hodgkin's lymphoma. You're a cancer survivor. And
Yes.
so how did that play into who you are today? What did you
Yeah.
do to help you?
Absolutely. So, yeah, about 25 years ago, I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. So, back in December of 2000. And I didn't know enough. I started studying nutrition, but I didn't have any level of knowledge to where I have now. So, I listened to the doctor. I did chemotherapy and radiation, and because I didn't know really any better at the time. So, so what happened was the chemo and radiation, particularly the chemo, cured me. But what happened was is that it left my cells in a completely screwed up state. It damaged my DNA. My cells had no ability to repair. It had no ability to detoxify themselves because I was already sensitive to a bunch of stuff, environmental allergens, foods, all this kind of stuff. And so this just completely closed down the function of my cells. And so what ended up happening is soon after I was done with the chemo, the cancer was gone, but I was tired all the time. I
It
could
left a
barely get up.
mess. It left a
Yeah,
mess. It left a real, it did a number on you.
completely tired all the time. Uh, and tolerate able to tolerate no more than 2 bites of food at a time.
Hmm.
I mean, it was really bad. And so I went to doctor after doctor, right? And oh, your blood work's normal, you're fine. So I had to discover myself why this was happening, right? So I finally realized, hey, one doctor suggested that I went to and said, just sounds like your cells are toxic and haven't repaired. I'm like, all right. So I kind of took that and I started doing a bunch of research and I realized, hey, my cells are completely toxic. DNA is completely damaged. They can't repair. They're holding on to toxins. And then what do I do about it? So then I figured out with research what I do about it, started to slowly but surely, heal myself from all of that. and then decided, make it official, go to school, nutrition, holistic health, hypnotherapy, and then as I was healing, other stuff came up, other symptoms came up, mental and physical. And as they were happening, I would address them at the time with the research I was already doing. Now I can say I'm at the point where I understand the cause of illness. I understand how to heal every type of illness imaginable, because it's not about the diagnosis, it's about what's causing it, right? So that's why I'm able to help people with anything that they come to me with, because I understand the cause. And like I said, it's mostly toxicity of some type or more types, several types, combined with nervous system dysregulation from the stress that it puts on people. So I address all of those things in my clients.
And do you think this toxicity, like I would imagine that it's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And even though you had your cancer and you fought through it, okay, so it's Hodgkin's lymphoma. Can you tell the people what that is exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So Hodgkin's lymphoma is a cancer of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is a very key part of our immune system,
Mhm.
producing lymphocytes, other types of white blood cells. Some of them come from the thymus gland, the T cells, but
Mhm.
B cells come from the lymphatic system, and it shows up in the white blood cell count if a doctor does white blood cell count. But the thing is that unless the Hodgkin's is extremely severe, usually the blood work is normal. So usually people don't know they have Hodgkin's until they have a lump on their neck, which is usually the
Mhm.
first stage,
Is that what
right?
you had?
And which is what I had
Mhm.
eventually. And when they did a CAT scan from the lump on my neck, the doctor said, sounds like lymphoma. Did a CAT scan, I had a mass in my chest, a 10 centimeter mediastinal mass in my chest. So luckily, I was stage 2. I was neck, chest. So when it goes below the abdomen is when it becomes stage 3. So luckily mine was at stage 2, meaning that it was easier and quicker to treat, even though it was chemo and radiation. But and so that's basically what Hodgkin's lymphoma is. There are two main types of lymphoma. One is Hodgkin's, one is non-Hodgkin's. Non-Hodgkin's presents a little bit differently and can present in several different ways, whereas usually Hodgkin's, the protocol is neck, chest, then abdomen, whereas because we have lymph nodes everywhere, we have
Sure.
so non-Hodgkin's can present in any area of the lymph node of the lymph nodes first, whereas Hodgkin's usually presents neck, chest first.
Well, let me ask you this. So, knowing what you know now with
Hmm.
the chemotherapy, would you have gone through the treatment if you've known what you've known now?
Oh, 100% not.
No,
No.
you would not.
No, 100% not. No. Well, first of all, I would never get cancer again because I take care of myself to the point where I won't.
That's good.
But if I did get cancer again, I would never do chemo again or radiation. And so I would treat myself naturally. And I'm not telling anybody to do anything against what their doctor says. Don't get me wrong. This is my
Good.
own
Yeah.
story. But I'm personally would not ever do chemo again or radiation.
That is very hard to go against your doctor, I would imagine. You'd have to be a pretty strong-willed person. And I'm sure that the
Yeah.
the pressure from peers and family, all that from a certain person who says, "Well, I'm going to, listen to Jason over here," as opposed to my own doctor. I'm sure that they get a lot of backlash on that, and you probably get a lot of backlash too. Have you ever been called like something, a name that you don't want to be called because of your treatment, or do people kind of think of you? I would imagine the family members get to you the most.
Well, actually, no. I mean, my father and my sister, basically the two members of my family that are still alive. My father and my sister, they know how much I know about natural healing, so they come to me for advice all the time, and so so they know that I know what I'm talking about. My friends know what I'm talking about. My friends come to me for advice all the time, and so yeah, I mean, it's the people that don't know me that call me all kinds of things.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I've been, but once I talk to people that are open to natural healing, I usually get things like, "Oh, I've never had it explained to me like that before," and or I get, "Wow, you know more than any doctor I know." I get that a lot from people once they talk to me for just 20 minutes. So I'm able to explain to people in very simple terms what's going on so that they can understand it very quickly. And so I pride myself in that as well. And just the last thing I'll say is my mission is to not have anybody go through what I had to go through. And that's why I do what I do.
I think that's beautiful that you don't want people to suffer like you did. And
Absolutely.
I'm sure that it was a very scary moment in your life, but at the
Definitely.
same time, purposeful. You really took the best of everything and made it a life's mission to save others, and I commend you for that. So, Jason, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, definitely. So, and the other thing is, I went through whatever somebody comes to me with. I've probably went through it, whether it's physical or mental.
Right.
So, I understand where they're coming from. But so my best way to get a hold of me is my website, which is heal heal heal. So three heals, as in you heal.
Mhm.
Healhealheal.com, and that will, so healhealheal.com, and that'll have my phone number on there. It'll have my email address on there. It'll have links to other things. I do have a book on Amazon called Get Thin for Life. But it doesn't have, my website doesn't have all my links, but I do have a bunch of social media as well. And so, but yeah, that's usually the easiest way because all my information is on my website.
Well, you heard right here. So go to healhealheal.com.
Hmm?
Follow Mr. Jason on any, I guess, social media, Facebook, Instagram. I would imagine
I've got it all.
you got it all. And I have to commend you. This was an absolute eye opener, and I definitely commend you. And for sure, we want to thank you for all the education that you gave us today. I've learned a lot, and I think we got to do some research. So I'm motivated now to do my own research.
Absolutely. And the last thing too is, I know you have a lot of guests like this on here, is I also can help people with the energetic healing aspect and the spiritual aspect too. And anything that I don't do, I will refer somebody to somebody in their area that does something that's totally different than what I do, but when appropriate, where I think that modality or modalities will help them as well.
Well, I think that would be another podcast, which I would love to invite you. We can talk about that part for sure.
Yep.
So, anyways, fantastic podcast. I definitely commend you. So, with that being said, everybody, this is Jim Hay for Truth Seeking Souls. And Jason here definitely spoke the truth. We are purposely being poisoned, and we need to do something about that. So, Jason, thank you so much. This will be on the podcast, Truth Seeking Souls, as well as in social media. And thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
1 second.